Before the first article, before the first law, comes a promise. The preamble of the Indian Constitution is more than just an opening line. It captures the source of all power, the philosophy behind it, and the objectives that guide our democracy. It reflects the vision of the makers of our Constitution. And even though it isn't legally enforceable, the Supreme Court says it's the soul of the Constitution. Let's decode this powerful statement word by word. The preamble didn't just appear out of thin air. It was born from decades of struggle and vision. It all began in the freedom movement, when leaders like Tilak drafted the first constitutional framework way back in 1895. Then came giants like Dadabhai Nauroji and Gopal Krishna Gokhale demanding the self-rule. British reforms like the 1919 Montagu-Chelmsford Act gave limited participation, but the control stayed with the British. The Simon Commission in 1927 sparked nationwide protests because it had no Indian members. Fast forward to the Round Table Conference and the 1935 Government of India Act, still under the British control but hinting at federalism. The real turning point, 1930, when the Indian National Congress passed the Purna Swaraj Resolution, demanding complete independence. That's where the idea of we the people truly began. In 1946, Nehru introduced the Objectives Resolution, laying down the ideals of justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. And finally, under the leadership of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the Constitution and its soul, the Preamble, was adopted on November 26, 1949 and came into effect on January 26, 1950. Now let us understand the parts of the preamble. Let's take 85 words that change the future of a billion people and break them together. This is the preamble to the Indian Constitution, our national introduction to justice, dignity, and democracy. First of all, we have the source of power, we the people of India. This is the source of all power, not kings, not colonizers, not politicians, but the people. It reflects the idea of popular sovereignty. Now this part shows the core ideals of our constitution. We are sovereign, meaning fully independent, socialist, aiming for economic justice, secular, giving equal respect to all religions, democratic, where people elect their leaders, and a republic with an elected head of state, not a monarch. Here we have the aspirations of the people, a promise of what India and the life in India should look like. We have justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, and belief, equality of equal status and opportunity, fraternity, a shared bond ensuring dignity and unity. This line marks the date of adoption, when India formally accepted this vision as its own. Now let's decode the heart of the preamble, its 9 powerful keywords. Each word reflects a deep commitment made by the Constitution to the people of India. First, we have sovereign. Sovereign means India is completely free, not a colony, not a dominion. We make our own laws, run our own affairs, and decide our own foreign policy, independent of any external authority. Second, we have socialist. The word socialist was already in India's DNA even before it was added to the Constitution by the 42nd Amendment Act of 1976. The Indian version is democratic socialism, not extreme communism. It supports a mixed economy where the public and private sectors coexist. And social justice is a core goal. Think of it as a blend of Marxism and Gandhism, with India leaning more towards Gandhian ideals of fairness without state domination. Then we have secular. Added in 1976 through the 42nd Amendment, secular in India means equal respect for all religions. It's a positive secularism. The state doesn't just tolerate faiths, it treats them all equally, irrespective of their size or power. Then we have democratic. India is a democracy, which means power lies with the people. In a direct democracy, like Switzerland, people vote on laws directly through tools like referendum, initiative, recall, plebiscite. But India follows indirect democracy. We elect representatives who run the government on our behalf. So democracy here isn't just about voting, it's a way of life that connects liberty, equality and fraternity as a single inseparable trinity. Then we have republic. A republic means two things. One, our head of state, the president, is elected, not hereditary like a king. Two, there are no privileged classes. Any citizen can hold the public office. Power truly belongs to the people. Then we have justice. Justice in the preamble comes in three dimensions: social, economic and political. Inspired by the Russian Revolution, it means ensuring fairness not just in law but in daily life. Then we have liberty. Liberty is more than freedom from chains. It's the freedom to grow. The preamble guarantees liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. It's about removing restraints while creating opportunities to fully develop one's personality. Then we have equality. No special treatment, no discrimination. Equality ensures every citizen gets equal status and equal opportunity, regardless of caste, class, gender or religion. Lastly, we have fraternity. Fraternity means brotherhood, but not just sentimentally. It assures dignity of every individual and unity and integrity of the nation. The word integrity was added by the 42nd Amendment to emphasize our national oneness. Now let us understand the judicial pronouncements on the preamble. So the preamble, which began as a mere introduction, but over time the preamble of India's constitution found itself under judicial scrutiny. There were questions like, was it binding, was it enforceable, or it was just decorative. In 1960, the Supreme Court delivered its verdict. The preamble, they said, is not a part of the constitution. It cannot be used for interpretation. This verdict was inspired by the American jurisprudence. They saw it as a ceremonial thing only and not constitutional. But in Golaknath case, a subtle shift was there. The court acknowledged the preamble sets the tone. The constitution's purpose is etched in those words. It could now be used to test the integrity of amendments. Then came 1973, the case that redefined constitutional law. In Keswananda Bharti case, the Supreme Court declared the preamble is a part of the constitution. It reflects the basic structure. A structure Parliament cannot destroy. So justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, these weren't just ideals, they were now constitutional safeguards. S.R. Bommai case made it even more clear. Secularism, enshrined in the preamble, is a pillar of the basic structure. Again, in the LIC case also, the court affirmed the preamble is the constitutional's moral compass, guiding interpretations, anchoring justice, but it cannot be enforced directly. It inspires but does not command. In 2014, the court said that the preamble cannot strike down a law, but when meaning is clouded, the preamble becomes light. So, like a reference point, a constitutional whisper. So, as of now, the preamble is a part of the constitution and it is not enforceable on its own. So, the preamble is called the soul of the constitution. But can the soul be edited? For years, there was this big question. Can the preamble be amended? Article 368 empowers the Parliament to amend the constitution. But it never mentions preamble. So, this silence sparked a national debate. Was the preamble not touchable or was it simply overlooked? In 1973, the Supreme Court settled it in the Keswananda Bharti case. The court ruled yes, the preamble can be amended because it is a part of the constitution, but here's a catch. It cannot violate the basic structure. Just 3 years later, the constitution was tested. In 1976, the 42nd Amendment added 3 words to the preamble: socialist, secular, integrity. These additions reflected a changing national vision but without altering its core. So where do we stand today? The preamble can be amended but only with care. Any change must preserve its spirit and must not distort the basic structure. Finally, let us quickly understand the significance of the preamble. The preamble serves as the moral and ideological compass of the Constitution. It declares that power flows from people, establishing popular sovereignty. It enforces consent-based governance and the primacy of citizen participation. It enshrines justice, liberty, equality and fraternity as the guiding values of Indian democracy. It reflects India's goal of socio-economic justice and upliftment of the marginalized. It upholds religious tolerance and India's pluralistic identity. Though not enforceable, it guides courts in interpreting the Constitution's true intent. The preamble continues to evolve with the nation, remaining a living guiding force.